It's been a while since I've done a video where I reflected on my favorites. I tend to do this kind of like quarterly, so like at the end of every season, I reflect on what I used that season. We just entered the official season of summer, so I want to tell you what I have really been enjoying this spring. I feel like I have less than I usually do. Normally, I try to focus on things that were already in my makeup collection, but I will say I think I was using mostly stuff that I was testing the past 3 or so months. So some of that is in here too, but is some old stuff. There's stuff that I fell back in love with, and we're just going to talk about all of it. I'm going to go in the order in which I would apply my makeup. So we'll start with primer. A primer that has proven itself worth relatively recently is this from Sisley. This is the Sisley Blur Expert, and I have the shade 0. My friend Steph over at the Style Assembler, she talked about using this kind of exclusively as a nose primer, and I've had this in my collection, and I did a video about it, and I compared it to some other blurring powders. I was just like, it's not really doing it for me. This kind of sells itself, and the brand boasts it as a primer. I bought it with the intention of using it as a powder, but not a primer. I do have issues with foundation on my nose, and using this as a primer on my nose has like made most of my foundations work really well on my nose. It's kind of worked itself into the fold as a favorite, which is really great because it was one of those things, I never really felt like I was going to declutter it, but it just felt like one of those things that was always going to be in my collection, and I always would look at it and be like, what am I going to do with you? And it turns out, nose primer. It's a very specific use case scenario for it, but because it works so well, I'm gonna use it, and I already have it. When I finish it, will I buy it again? I don't know. Maybe, but if you've caught the rate at which I use powder, I don't go through powder very quickly. I have a feeling this will be in my collection for a couple of years at least. I'm just really happy to be excited about this again. I have 3 foundation products that I've been really into. So at the beginning of spring, I did a really quick, foundation. Here's what I've been using. And I got all of the nonsense out of my collection as far as foundation goes. And I've been able to refocus on things that I have already owned. And the Surratt Dew Jet Foundation has come into the fold tenfold. It's the foundation I'm reaching for the most whenever it comes to like a foundation. The next 2 things we're going to talk about, I wouldn't say are like foundations, but I still consider them to be foundations. It's my favorite for a reason, and it reproves itself every time I get to use it more. It's like, oh yeah, why am I trying other foundations? You're right here. Very excited to be back in love with that. Then another old favorite before we talk about a newer favorite, the Glossier Skin Tint. I've been using it a lot recently. It's been kind of my foundation of choice whenever I go out, unless it's in like the evening and I'm doing something really intense, but like most of the time I'm wearing the Glossier Skin Tint in my free time whenever I'm hanging out with friends, and I adore it. It's the best. It's beautiful, it's blurring, and it's such a light coverage, and I just think it's so perfect for the summertime for whatever I'm looking to do with my makeup. I don't always do like this kind of full face thing. Sometimes I do like just this in bronzer, or it's like it doesn't have to always be a full thing of makeup, and this is really excellent for that. Finally, my new favorite foundation, and it's kind of just been the best product that I got to try it so far this year, is the Lisa Eldridge Seamless Skin Tint, and I have the shade T3. I don't know what she did or how she did this, but she really did do it. Like, this formula is incredible. Unlike the Glossier Skin Tint, which is like pretty dewy, this is just like your skin, and somehow the formula stays very skin-like until about the 8 to 10 hour mark, and that's when my oils start coming through, and I think that's pretty incredible. Like, I just feel like most foundations just look really oily really quickly at like the 4-hour mark, and this one doesn't. And it's a skin tint, and I always feel like skin tints, we think of them like kind of underperforming in some ways, but this one doesn't. It's incredible. I do have a favorite concealer right now, and it's the Surratt Surreal Skin Concealer, which if you've watched my channel for any amount of time, this is a thing I received in PR, and I don't oft recommend. Like, it's a very specific person I would recommend it to, but because I've been so into skin tints recently, I don't really like to pair full coverage concealers with a skin tint. I know that some people do that to get the coverage that they want, but for me, really, I just want it to kind of like match. It gives me like a little bit more coverage than the skin tint. I don't really fuss over my skin so much. Like, if I have blemishes, I have blemishes. It's like, I'm not really trying to like fool anyone. And not to say that people who have blemishes and are trying to cover them are trying to like fool anyone. It's just, I'm lazy. So I'm not here trying to spot conceal. This does enough for me. It is a really beautiful concealer, and I really enjoy it. It's not something that I would buy with my own money. I'm glad I got it in PR, but it does make me always rethink, like, maybe I do like a stick concealer a little bit more than I think. I never expected that to ever feel like a favorite, but it kind of has become a favorite in recent months. And then for powder, the Hourglass powder. This is the Hourglass Vanish Airbrush Pressed Powder, and I have the shade Translucent Light. So not the translucent shade, but the shade up from that. Boy, is this a beautiful blurring. It's just setting powder that's so easy breezy. I've seen some people say that it's too mattifying. I have not found that to be the case. Keep in mind, I do have oily skin, so results may vary. But for me, I don't like it under the eyes. That's one thing I will say. It's like not a powder I like to put under the eyes. I still prefer my Charlotte Tilbury brightening airbrush powder for that. But for all over the face, mama, this has been the go-to. This is still something that I have in my testing drawer. Like, I haven't moved it into my makeup collection yet. Obviously, it's heading for that. It has been difficult for me to get it up to use other powders in my collection. I've just been enjoying this so much. I think it's beautiful. The one thing and I've said it before, they should make this package refillable and they should just sell the powder pans. I don't know why that's not something they considered. It's interesting. It's like Hourglass is trying so hard to be like this dignified brand in so many ways. And it's like, you can't make refillable packaging. And like their packaging also already kind of leaves a lot to be desired. But I don't know why you couldn't have just put a magnet in there and called it a day, because it is glued in. Beautiful powder. Again, at the rate at which I go through powders, it's gonna be a while probably before I run through it. And my last powder, it's the Chantecaille Perfect Blur powder, because basically for the same reasons I was able to fall back in love with the Dewdrop foundation is the same reason why I've been able to fall back in love with this. I just had been testing so many complexion products for so long, and I try not to introduce this into the mix until I know my thoughts on a foundation. And because I was just kind of like testing things all the time, I very rarely use this as a finishing powder because it adds a lot of blur, and I need to know if the foundation is providing the blur or if it's the powder providing the blur. And this is just such a good last step for me. I'm really close to getting done with this, and I do believe that I will repurchase this whenever I am done with this. I will actually finally have it in the real packaging. I feel like I've had to say it so many times over the past couple of years where it's like, this is in limited edition packaging and you can buy it, but if you buy it, it's not going to look like this. I'm excited to like be done with that. I am excited to be done with the powder. And not because I'm like trying to rush it or anything. It's so nice to me to know that something is so loved that it gets used up. I've had it for like the past 3 years or so. Maybe, I don't know if it was in 2020 or 2021 when I bought this. I don't know if I was on camera yet. Like, I don't know if I was doing that yet. So I don't know if this was something I bought while I was doing YouTube more seriously. I feel like I've gotten my $80 worth out of it, and I'm sure I will again with the next one I buy. For bronzer, I have two. I've said it in a couple videos, but in case you missed it, I've been trying to focus on this. This is the Chanel Soleil Tan Deep bronzer. It's the bronzer I'm wearing today. At first I was quote unquote forcing myself to use it because I was like, is this something I want to keep? Is this something that I'm actually interested in? And then as I've been using it, it has been a dream. It's like, I remember why I liked it in the first place and why it's made it through so many declutters, because this product is now more than 2 years old. And I bought it one day when me and Tiff, and we were still very weary about like going shopping. I just remember buying it in the store and just being like, this was like one of my first makeup purchases back in store. You can see it's like, I can apply it a certain way and it doesn't end up looking this deep. It's the undertone that I think is more important about this one. And I really love using it with my BK Beauty 105 brush and just like dipping some in and then tapping on the face. And I did kind of notice today, you won't be able to notice this because I'm not really like doing a project pan situation where I'm like taking photos of it. The circle is getting bigger and that's great. It's starting to, we're getting closer to the edges, even though it's like I feel like we're not getting deeper, but we are getting closer to the edges, which is great. Again, I love seeing my products be loved, especially whenever it's something older that I thought I was falling out of love with, and then I kind of reacquainted myself with it, and I really enjoy it. That feels good. And then another bronzer, this was kind of like a similar case, I just had it for less time. The Surratt bronzer in the shade Soleil Doux. Surratt knows how to do powder complexion products. They really do. I have like quite the dent going in here now. I mean, I say quite the dent. I have a little bit of a dent going, which is pretty rare for me historically in a bronzer product. And you can see here how it's a little more neutral than what we got going on with the bronzer from Chanel. It's a gorgeous powder. It kind of applies like a cream. It is a dream to use. My qualm with it really has been that Surratt only made 2 shades of it, and that's a big hang up for me. It's like, I wasn't using it on camera because it's just kind of like embarrassing to be like, one of my favorite bronzers is one with this terrible range. It's something that I hope that they fix in the future. Obviously, I have no control over that, but it is a product that I really, really fell in love with. Like, I feel like last summer I like liked it when they launched it, but I feel like in the last couple of months I've grown to really, really, really appreciate it. I think it's been the powder bronzer I've been reaching for the most in the last couple months. I was looking in my drawer and I had it open and I was like, I don't know. I feel like I've been dipping in a bunch of different blushes. That thing really stuck out to me as like the blush that I had been wearing, because oftentimes I'll find myself in specific seasons reaching for the same things over and over again. Like in the fall, in the winter, I was really reaching for that Chanel blush in that mauve shade. Like I reached for that a lot. Like it was like high up there. And in the wintertime, I was reaching for my Valentino like purple blush a lot. But like I feel like in the past couple of months, I've really, not that I've been doing the most diverse looks, I feel like I've just been playing with different blushes. Nothing has become a favorite. I have had definite preferences in the highlighter category, and they're all from Surratt. The Torche Lumiere in Diamanti is just, it's just one of my fave things. I still can't believe that it is a thing that I think of in such a high regard, because when you look at it, it's like, it's full of sparkles and it's like this cream, but it's not super creamy. If there's ever been a thing that I would describe as like a dry cream, it would be this product right here, because it's like, it's just such an interesting texture. And I thought the glitter might like settle into fine lines and make me feel like I'm like looked older than I am. And it doesn't do that. It's just such a beautiful highlight. It's like the highlight that it's the one that's on the top of my mind. It's like when I open the drawer, it's my eyes just kind of like zoom into this little package and I'm like, oh, you again. I would say sometimes I feel like it leans a little too cool toned to wear with warm toned looks, but that's okay. That's okay. I have warm toned highlighters to wear with those looks, but I always pick this. And then there are two new highlighters I've been wearing a lot. So I have Frou and Lumiere. They're kind of like, I wouldn't say they're exactly the liquid version of the Torche Lumiere. They give me that same feeling of elegance that I feel like the Torche Lumiere gives me, but they're a completely different thing. They have a little bit of sparkle to them, but they're not super intense. This is Frou, and then over here is Lumiere, which might be hard to see because again, they are like pretty subtle highlighters and they're just great. They're like fuss free. The only thing about these, you can't put them on after you powdered. I haven't found a way to do that without it just kind of disrupting everything. But if you remember to do it before you've powdered, these are incredibly and stunning. And even Frou, which kind of looks like something that might be too intense for people who aren't super into highlighters, I still think it looks really nice on the cheek. Perhaps if you're a different skin tone than me, it wouldn't be like that. And perhaps if you have a different undertone than me, it might not work out the best because it is so distinctly pinky, purple, iridescent. But it's gorgeous. I've been loving wearing it. And something that these two products have sparked, I hadn't been reaching for them as much, which is why I didn't put them in this video. My two Rare Light Luminizers from Ritual Decay, they kind of have similar vibes to these ones from Surratt, and so I was like, oh yeah, I have other shades that look like this on the skin. Those ones are a little bit less fussy than these, which I don't even think these are that fussy. It's just you have to do them before you powder. But the Ritual Decay ones I can put on top of powder, tap it on top, and it works beautifully. It works wonderfully. And then this is like my last complexion product. This is so silly. This is literally, I think, the silliest thing that I'm going to be like, have you heard? But the Urban Decay All-Nighter. Which is so crazy to me. So I got Urban Decay PR and they sent this was like in addition to other things, they sent me this. And I had just never tried it. The setting spray that I always use, and it's not even it's more of a finishing spray, is MAC Fix Plus. So I never tried this because powder has always been how I've been improving the longevity of my makeup. As you know, or may not know, I've been going out dancing more. Not every weekend, but I go out dancing and, you know, it's hot, there are bodies, and I always do like full glam for that. And it really doesn't, it impresses me. It makes products that wouldn't last on me. Let me be clear, not really my eyeshadow, but things on the rest of my face last so well when I use this. Eyeshadow, my eyelids are really oily and like it like doesn't, whatever I do to try to save my eyeshadow with some formulas, it just like doesn't do anything. But for cheek and like highlighter and foundation formulas that might wear off a little bit quicker on me, this improves the longevity of them, which I really am grateful for. And I've gone through a lot of this. Like, I've gone through a lot of this way faster than I was expecting. Any mascara I have had transfer issues with, spraying this after, I always spray this at the end. Normally, if I'm doing my face of makeup with Fix Plus, I will do everything but my mascara. Then I will spray my face and then apply mascara. But I will wait till my mascara dries and then I will spray this all over the face. And my mascara doesn't transfer when I'm wearing it. It's bananas. It's bananas. I don't know. I mean, I know that there's Scandinavia. Like, I have a feeling that a lot of people are gonna be like, but did you know? It's like, yeah, no, I know about that as well. But I just wanted to share that. I now understand why it's like such a cult classic. And it's not that I didn't believe people. I just like didn't always have a need for something like that. And now that I do have a need for something like that, this has come in handy and I really, really like it. And like, I also like to spray this whenever I go outside during the day. Like if I think I'm gonna sweat at all, even if I'm not gonna like sweat from dancing, I just like it as like my going out daytime kind of thing. And then in the fall, I'll go back to her full time unless I'm going out at night, and then I will, do that. Let's talk about a couple lip products that have just been seeing high favor in my collection recently. So this is from CoverGirl. They sent this to me in PR, and I never really thought this was going to be something that I would find a lot of use value in. It's the Outlast lip stain. Specifically, the shade is the one that gets more play. I kept 2 of them, but this is the shade Brazen Raisin. I'm very thankful every day that Kelly Gooch is a personal resource for me. I like texted her because she's much more of a drugstore girly than I am. And I was like, what do I do with this marker lip stain? Like, and I'm just not like a lip stain person. And she was like, use it as lip liner. I kind of do it in quadrants so I can blend it out. But basically I will like put it in a line the quadrant of my lip and then I will buff it out. Beautiful. I don't like to wear it all over my lips because I tend to have a dry patch, specifically in this quadrant of my lips, that like it's always like a darker patch because it's like dry skin. So I don't really care for that, but I love to wear this under glosses. It's so pretty. It's not really cool toned, but I like the way that cool toned glosses and stuff look over it. It's one of those things that's like, it's just neutral enough that like that contrast looks really pretty. It's not like too alarming when you do that. It's really great. I really enjoyed it. And kind of along the same lines, the Half Magic, what is this thing called? Sculptitude dual-ended lip liner. I think people were gooped and gagged that I kept this in my declutter. It has 2 sides. One's a taupe and one's black. But most of the time I wear them together and I just kind of like blend them together. Whenever I have talked about someone saying that my lips look like roast beef pussy, this is what I have on my lips, and I top it with another product. So yeah, every time I say that, people are like, drop the lip details. It's this. I put it all over my lips, black as the liner, and I buff it, and then the taupe in the center, and I like blend it with my finger, and that's the look. Then I top it with a very specific gloss, which we'll talk about now. The Isamaya Liplaq in metal. If you watched my declutter series, you saw this is more than halfway used. I would say we have about a third of it left, and I just think it's gorgeous, and I love to top these 2 shades with it because it's so beautiful and cool toned. A lot of you had recommended the new Fenty gloss, thinking that it might be similar. The thing about this is like there's not much base to it. It's mostly like the silver shimmers in it. So it's gonna be something that has to be really sparkly. And that's not to say I do like the Fenty lip glosses. I think I panned 2 or 3 of the Fenty glows before there were even other shades available of the Fenty lip gloss. It's been a long time since I've used that formula, so I wonder if I would feel the same about it as I did. I still don't think it's a perfect lip formula. I always want to say that. Like, I just like the color of this more so than anything else about it. I don't like the packaging. I don't think that the longevity of the product is very good. I get the white line with it if I talk too long with it on. There's a plumping agent in it, which like doesn't seem to do much. Like, I don't feel like it's a plump at all, which is a shame because I know a lot of people get deterred from like a plumping agent, and I think it could just do without it. I don't think it needs it. I don't think it makes my lips red from the plumping agent or anything like that. It's like such a slight, but it's there. You can definitely feel it a little bit. I've been so into cool tone lips, and it's again, just something that I really like. Just like, look at it. It's kind of almost as if the Ritual de Fille Alchemist had a lip color. It's like that. And then the final lip gloss that I have that I've been wearing just a ton is this from Finding Ferdinand. It's the shade Cafe Noisette, which was from Kakkie's après ski collection. And it has like, it's this cool toned beigey with sparkles in it. And the sparkles are really cool toned as well. That's the dream. I don't love the Finding Ferdinand lip gloss. It's a good lip gloss. It's just not my favorite lip gloss. I've never seen a color like that before. And it's really, really gorgeous. And it's like, I like love the coffee scent to it. Despite the fact it's not the best performing lip gloss, I'm willing to put up with it because that color is... Remember how I was like, y'all, but did I buy the wrong Bioderma? Look at how fast I tore through it. The Drunk Elephant one, I did not tear through that fast, which is more expensive, but got me a lot further. So I think I'm going to go back to the Drunk Elephant one because I don't use micellar water to cleanse my face. I use micellar water for like swatch removal. I think we all got offered PR from this brand at the same time. So it's just a matter of we all got to try it at the same time. But I also saw people buy it a little bit before I got it in PR. I saw a couple people trying them out that were just regular makeup buying citizens trying it and enjoying it. And it's from EADEM. It's their lip softening balm. And I think they do call this like an exfoliating balm. So there's not like grit or anything in it, but I think what they're getting at is like it moisturizes your lips enough that whenever your lips moisturize, like all that dead skin is like ready to be buffed off. I mostly do it with like a towel after it's been on my lips for a bit, and then I reapply it, and then it's just a gorgeous lip color and a beautiful balm. It's an incredibly gorgeous thick balm, and it has a metal applicator. And you might think that this might be super messy in the cap, but they did a really good job. Like there's like a little point in there that goes inside where the product comes out. And so the cap isn't messy and gooey, and it's twist on and twist off. I will say the one thing I'm a little bit nervous about with this product is like it's a pretty thick formula because I think it feels more like a lip mask formula, and it's really thick. That's the color. This is the color Boba Bounce. I don't know if they all taste and smell different, but this one has like just a little bit of a sweet smell. It's kind of like almost like a Fruit Loop. I would say it smells a little bit like a Fruit Loop, but it's a shade I have on my lips right now. I think it's the first lip balm I've got this year that made me really excited about lip balm. I've done it before, but I'm not really excited about lip balms. They don't really get me excited, but I actually quite like this one. Like it's really great. So if you are thinking that they are being really hyped, add my hat to the ring. I think they're gorgeous. It's really great. I only got the one shade. I know they have like 5 or 6. I will definitely buy this shade again because it's, you know, gorgeous brown. Love it. But if they have a clear one, I would buy that to be like my all the time. But back to what I was concerned about. The formula is really thick. I always make sure I'm squeezing it from down here to get the product to come out, because my fear would be that I would squeeze it and like just shoot out the bottom. Like that's my concern, because it is a thick formula. It's a little bit hard to get going out of the top. And I will also say this, I don't like squirting out the product on the applicator before applying it to my lips. I mostly do a squeeze and swipe situation. And that has been the best way for me to get an even application of it, because whenever I get too much on it and I swipe it on my lips, it like doesn't work. It's kind of like it has to be coming out as I'm gliding across my lips for best application. All of the lip balms I've gotten to try this year, I'm like, this is the girl. This is the one. I've been very into it. I feel like I mostly test my lip balms off camera. Like I'm not, I know that so many other people on this platform and on Instagram are so into like their lip balms. It's just not me. So I don't know if that makes you feel like any better about this product if you've been skeptical of the hype you've been seeing about it, but like I have not really been excited about a lip balm ever. And I was like, wow, this is, well, I mean, obviously the YSL Candy Glaze, I've been excited about that, but like this is more exciting to me. And I think it's less expensive. God, I hope it is, because I would like to buy more. It's I believe that they're a Black owned independent brand. So, and they are carried at Sephora. I don't know if they're carried inside of any Sephora's, but you can buy it on their website. I recommend buying directly from them. I know that they have some codes. I think I've seen people, I don't have a code, but I've seen that people have had codes. I think Beauty on Hype, Stephanie, I think she has a code. And just because I know hers, I'll put it on this. I'll put it on the screen for you. I'll put it here. Use her code if you want to try this and buy it directly from the brand. That's my suggestion. I have a couple of eye products to tell you about. I think you'll be surprised because I, in fact, for the past 3 months have mostly been using eyeshadow palettes, which is unlike me. But before that, I do have one eyeliner I want to shout out. I feel like it kind of got shout out the last time, but Victoria Beckham Cinnamon. I'm still in my obsession. I think it's really pretty. I like to wear it with almost every single look. I don't feel like I'm tearing through it because I do feel like I use it a little less liberally than I use some of the other shades, because I feel like every time I use like cocoa or ash or even the black, I'm doing like a little bit of a smudgy eyeliner on top. I mostly use this shade in the waterline because oftentimes when I'm like, if I would use this as like a liner, do a wing with it, I'm normally wearing shades that are pretty similar to this on the eye, and then it kind of gets lost in the sauce. It's not quite deep enough to do all of that, but I love it in the waterline. Gorge. And then I have 2 eyeshadow palettes to talk about. One I think will come as no surprise, and then the other one I think will be a little bit more of a surprise, but maybe not. I don't know. You're all really smart. The Sigma Cool Neutrals. When Sigma sent me PR, I think it was either late last year or earlier this year, they sent me a bunch of cool stuff to try, and then they also sent me this in PR. And one of the things that I really liked in my initial trying of all of their stuff was their eyeshadow formula was pretty killer. I really liked it. I've really enjoyed it. But the colorway that they sent me, it was one of their 9-pan palettes. I think it was called Spice or Spicy. And it was really pretty, but it was like it was like warm tones. And like there was some mauves in it, but it was like pretty warm, which is like just not my thing right now. And then I saw that they were going to release this whenever the Creator and Friends event kind of sneak peeked this. And I was wondering if they would send it to me because, like, the funny thing about me as someone who does this is, like, people aren't really using my affiliate links, but that's just the nature. I'm not here trying to sell you everything. I'm here to be more realistic about it, so I don't ever expect to make a ton of money on affiliate links. But it's like, so sometimes I'm just like, will a brand continue to send me PR? Because I don't sell a lot. I don't sell a lot. But they did send me this. And wow, I was really grateful because I think this is a really beautiful palette. Obviously, I really love the cool tones in here, but then there is that warmer side. But what I will say, it's kind of like this yellow gold honey thing, which I don't think I have ever had really a lot of eyeshadows that live in that honey space. They're really pretty and I really enjoy playing with them. But like, obviously my heart is like truly over here, specifically the shade Iris. And I also really love the shade Laguna. So Iris is on my middle finger and then Laguna is on my index finger. These swatches are over top of a bunch of gloopy glosses, but like, look at them. Their eyeshadows are pretty sparkly. Not like indie shadow sparkly, but like an impressive amount of sparkle for something that's like from a brand that I don't think a lot of us associate with like high performing eyeshadows. I mean, I think that there are people who really love their eyeshadows. I just see my friend Nicole, who's Majestic Beast on Instagram. She did not really get along with the Sigma formula. I really have enjoyed my time with it. I still don't know if it's gonna make it into my permanent eyeshadow drawer. I haven't like made that decision yet. But it's like, it's in consideration. It's because a lot of times eyeshadow palettes, I try them for a little bit and I'm like, okay, that can find a new home. It intrigues me. It intrigues me. I'm excited to use it every time I use it still. I want to go through my newly curated singles collection and see if I have something like Iris or maybe even something like the other shade, but Iris is really the shade that I really like. If you haven't been able to notice, I really love a purple lavender smoky eyeshadow. And it's the whole reason I have a bunch of lavender smoky eyeshadows trying to dupe the one shade in that Pat McGrath palette that I haven't done a video on yet. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. They taunt me every time I open that drawer. There's a lot of things in that drawer that need to be handled, like the Suku stuff, which is what I have mostly on my face today. So I'm making an effort. I'm trying that stuff. I'm gonna come around to it. But the last thing I'm gonna talk about is another eyeshadow palette. This eyeshadow palette's gonna make me look like a fool when I show it to you because it goes against everything I love in eyeshadows. And it's the bellabeautebar Smoky Glam palette. Kristen was right. So Kristen is the owner of the brand, and I think she watches my videos sometimes, specifically when I'm talking about bellabeautebar products. And she was like, okay, I want to send you Smoky Glam because I think you're going to love it. But she was also like, but I know you don't like eyeshadow palettes that have a lot of shades in them, but I think you should try it. And so whenever this got restocked relatively recently, she sent this my way. Oh, she was right. She was right. So I have told you that I really love bellabeautebar's formula, and I got to try the Basic Witch palette first. But when Cam was here, they really enjoyed the colors in that, and I had just got this in PR literally when Cam was here visiting, and I was like, you can take Basic Witch because this one's for me. And I'm gonna keep it. Like, it's gonna, spoiler alert, I haven't even done the reckoning with it. I'm keeping this. I'm keeping this. I love all of the bits of this, even though it has so many shades. Like, it's not ideal in that way. It really isn't. I still think too many eyeshadows. However, I think the thing with large eyeshadow palettes is oftentimes I'm not into the color story, or I feel like there's like a lack of color story. And I feel like there's a couple things happening here. Obviously on the top we have like the lighter tones and we have some of beautiful shimmers, but I actually think that like the bottom half is really where this palette shines, because it's all of these really smoky tones but different colors in smoky tones. So you have some smoky purples, but this bottom corner here is a lot of like smoky greens, which I like a grungy green, but I really love these smoky greens. I don't think that like I have a signature eye look, but I think like I like a smoky eye. I think it's my preference. It's like the first thing I'm gonna do with an eyeshadow palette. It's like, well, what kind of smoky eye could I do with that? I could do quite a few smoky eyes with this. It's really, really pretty. I also love this flaky shade called Imagine. It's beautiful, flaky formula, giving you all of that indie eyeshadow goodness that you could want. And it's this beautiful, like, iridescent, ooh, so scrumptious. And I also love Milk Bath, which is this one in the top corner, which can be used as a topper, but I mostly just use it on the lid myself. And then there's all of these like variations on taupe. There's like a pinky taupe. There's like a little golden bit of a taupe. There's a green taupe. There's like a gunmetal. Like it's a palette of my dreams. It's really great. And I as you know, I don't like large eyeshadow palettes. I would never have bought this palette. I never would have bought this palette because it doesn't align with where I'm at with eyeshadow. It said that there could be exceptions to my large eyeshadow palette rule. And you know what? I appreciate it for that. I'm going to try to be a little more open-minded to large palettes, because did I need these 36 eyeshadows? No. But I'm happy to have them. And like I said, I'm going to keep it. I'm keeping my baby. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm gonna keep my baby. Ooh. And that's it. Those are the things that I've been using the most the past couple of months. I feel like the last couple of times I've done this, like these was like an hour and a half long video, but I kept it tight. I have a thought though. I have had a thought, because I'm unsure if I'm keeping this, but I still think I'm gonna put this on my favorites at the end of the year because I did really like it. Would that be weird to you? As a consumer of my content, at the end of the year, I had a favorite that I no longer had in my collection. Would that be weird? I've been thinking about it. And then I've had thoughts, sorry, just some thoughts for next year. Next year, I think I might try a different thing. I think I'm going to get another makeup drawer, and all of the PR and all of the things I buy to review for the year will stay in that drawer set, away from my other stuff. And at the end of the year, instead of decluttering my personal collection, we will go through all of the stuff I got over the course of the year and make sense of that. Let me know if you think that would be interesting to you for next year, for just end of year 2025. Let me know. It's just something I've been pondering on, because sometimes I wonder if I had let things sit in my collection for a little bit longer rather than being incredibly decisive, like to let things grow on me a bit, because I do realize that there are some things in my permanent makeup collection that I did not love right away, and I kind of float in and out of using. I think that could be helpful to be like these, see how things happen over the course of the year with like everything that comes in PR and everything I buy for review, just living separately from my permanent makeup collection. And then at the end of the year, like I would really be able to make sense and heads or tails of like what my real favorites are, and to make them join my permanent collection. Does that make sense? I don't know. That might sound crazy. Anyway, if you are new to my channel, thank you so much for watching. This was fun for me. I had fun. I know I've been talking, it's been a lot of product focus because I just did my declutter series and now I'm like jumping right into this. If you are new to my channel is mostly about loving my makeup collection as it currently is. I hope you could see that throughout this video. A lot of these things are things I've had for a while, like things that have been in my collection for a long time. And what I want to do is help you and help myself be more discerning about the beautiful things that we are buying. I'm borrowing that from Hannah. Sorry, I'll come up with a better thing, but right now my brain's a little bit fried. But borrowing that from Hannah, but just being more discerning about the beautiful things we're buying. Is there something that we already own that can do what the thing we want to buy is going to do? Do we already have a lipstick that color? Do we already have a lip gloss that formula? You know, do we already have the thing? And do we need the other thing? And, you know, I help try to break down makeup marketing and like how misleading it can be in my Critical Sass series and try to, you know, dampen the hype a little bit. So if that sounds good to you, I would love to have you subscribe. Make sure you like this video. I'm on patreon.com and I have channel memberships if you want to check those out down below. There's no pressure to join them. I do additional content over there. I have been vlogging, so if you want to check out, and I share some personal things over there if you want to know a little bit more about me, that's a way to do it. Also, linked down in the description box below is a link to help a family in Gaza. And I got that from Operation Olive Branch. Check that out down below if you have the funds to do that. I would prefer you help those people before helping me if you have the means. If you don't have the means to do that right now, totally understandable. And if you don't want to be a patron of mine, that's also totally understandable. You don't have to do that. It's totally just a different way to support me. Not a better way to support me. It's just a different way to support me. But I appreciate anything you do, liking, commenting, and sharing is the best way to support me or any other content creator. And that wraps up the video. Remember to follow your hope and you'll find me. I'll see you in a video very soon. Go forth to doubt.